So the reality is you can't make me feel judged. My feelings are my feelings. And in this part of the book, I think what we're going to get in, I call it the interdependence principle of open-heartedness. So there's codependence, there's independence, and then there's interdependence.
So I'll give you an example here. Let's just say that you and I, we go to the next Front Row Dads event. We're sitting there, we have a good time, and you share with me today that you're taking it a month at a time, just experimenting with alcohol-free. And same for me. I've been alcohol-free since the marathon, so it's been a few months. Committed to this year alcohol-free. And let's just say that you reach for a beer, and you've told me that you like to be alcohol-free. So I feel it might be my responsibility as your friend to remind you of that and try to hold you accountable to something you said you wanted to do. How might I do that in a way that doesn't make you feel judged? Because in my mind, I am holding you accountable to something you said you wanted. And I am a rule follower when it comes to these discipline things. So I may come off a little bit aggressive or a little bit direct, and that may make you feel safe. But I think the safety is in that you can count on me to follow through on the things that we both want.
It's such a great question. So, and first of all, yes, please do hold me accountable. Because what I've done is at the beginning of each month this year, I'm taking it month by month. At the beginning of January, I said, I'm going to have a dry January. I looked at February on February 1. I said, I'm going to stay sober in February. At the beginning of April, I looked at it and I said, oh, there's a Front Row Dads retreat in Florida in April. That's something I want to stay sober during. And I ultimately decided yes. So I re-upped for April. So yes, please hold me accountable. I'm making no guarantees about May. I haven't thought about May yet. So in AA, they say one day at a time. I'm just taking it 1 month at a time. But yeah, please hold me accountable. And I think what jumps out at me about what you said is that phrase. It's such a powerful phrase, make you feel judged. Right?
Yeah.
So the reality is you can't make me feel judged. My feelings are my feelings.
Yeah.
Right. And this is, and in this part of the book, I think what we're going to get in, I call it the interdependence principle of open-heartedness. So there's codependence, there's independence, and then there's interdependence. So codependence is when essentially one way of saying codependence would be, hey, your stuff is my stuff and my stuff is your stuff. We're sort of, I disappear into you. Your emotions are my emotions and my emotions create your emotions. There's not a lot of differentiation, right? I disappear into you. Independence is I distance myself from you. Hey, your stuff is your stuff. You got to deal with that. I have nothing to do with that. Like, go take care of yourself. That's independence.
Yeah.
Interdependence is more a dance with each other where we say, hey, your stuff is our stuff, right? It's not, yes, you have a responsibility to take care of your own inner world, but I'm the context in which your inner world is happening now. So I can rub up against it. I can sort of aggravate it. I can trigger it. And I want to take responsibilities for the ways that I'm doing that. So you tell me in the Florida Keys, hey, are you sure you want to have that? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what my favorite beer would be. A Pseudo Sue. Oh gosh, I hope they don't have Pseudo Sue in them. That would be.
I thought White Claw for a second there, Kelly.
Oh no, I'm a hazy IPA guy.
Okay.
So you tell me that, and if I start to say you've made me feel judged, in an open-hearted companionship, we can both have a conversation about how much of that do I own, how much of that do you own, right? How much of that is I was going to feel judged if anybody called me out on that because I'm really sensitive about that right now. And how much of that was, I could have probably approached that a little bit differently. I was sort of judging you. I thought you were better than that. Okay. Well, then I was judging you, not really supporting you. Okay. Yeah, I could take some ownership of that. So that's the interdependence. And there's a lot of safety in that when two people can say, what parts of this can we own together? Right.
Okay.
So that's a big piece of that, of understanding that we're a context for someone else, but we're not the cause of their inner life. We're just the context for it.
Well, I do not intend to see you in Florida and bring a hazy IPA just to test this theory.
That would be so that
I
you
want
might
you
have
to
to
feel
own it.
safe. Here, just want to put this right
Yeah,
here next
thank
to
you.
us.
Right. That's so funny.
I, it makes me wonder that as an author, part of the gift you bring to the world, and especially you bring to the world, is you are, I would say, vulnerable enough to share how you sort things out. And that's of incredible value from people that respect you and
Mm-hmm.
love you, to hear that you sort out stuff too, that you're not in
Mm-hmm.
the ivory tower, like in your castle, like you, the drawbridge is
Mm-hmm.
down, you're out, you're
Yeah.
sharing it. Right. And
You
that's
know,
inspirational for me, and for, I'm sure, for our listeners, and for your audience.
I think
You
that's one
share.
thing that's inspirational about your book is that you've been pretty open about this is my, everyone wonders when someone writes fiction, how much of the protagonist is actually the author and how much isn't. And sometimes it's a little bit of both, but you've been really out there with like, this is my experience influenced this protagonist story. It reflects me in a lot of ways, which again, I think that makes it a powerful story for people. Um, and yeah, I guess I would just say, I don't know about your experience, but like the authors that have influenced me the most are the ones who write from a sense of personal vulnerability. Um, Always with an eye not toward just being self-expressive or self-disclosing for the sake of self-disclosure, but like, hey, I want to tell you about what it's like to be human inside my skin. So, and I hope that's going to help you to be human inside your skin. Henry Nouwen is one of my favorite authors, and he always says the most personal is the most universal. So if you want to get to something that relates to everybody, get all the way to the center of your own experience. Right. And so that's sort of been my ethos of writing and creating has been, if you can get to the center of it, to the root of it, you're probably going to touch on something that most people also experience at the center of their humanity, and it'll be more universal that way.